Bears! This is Bear Blast, the official podcast of student life at Mott Community College. Whether you're new to campus or have been here for a while, this is your spot to catch up on what's happening, hear real stories from students and staff, and find new ways to get involved. From events and campus tips to student success stories and special guests, we're here to help you make the most of your time at MCC. Let's get started.
Welcome to Bear Blast, your all-access pass to student life at Mott Community College. From can't-miss events to student organizations, leadership opportunities to campus culture, we've got everything that you need to stay in the know and get involved. So grab your coffee, turn up the volume, and let's make the most of MCC together. This is Bear Blast. Hello, Bears. Welcome to Bear Blast. I'm your host, Alyshia Turner, the Student Life Coordinator at Mott Community College, here to bring you the latest on campus life, events, and ways to get involved. Today, we're diving into the topic of campus changes, how student voices shape decisions. And I've got a couple special guests with me today. We have Andy, Valerie, and Alyshia that are a part of the MCC SPAC team, also known as the Student Presidential Advisory Council. And then we also have Bob here with us from MCC's marketing department. These guys have a first-hand experience on how student feedback turns into real change. We'll talk about recent updates on campus, how decisions get made, and most importantly, how you can make your voice heard. So, welcome to all of you, my special guests. Thanks for coming. But before we jump in, I just want to get a little bit of information from you guys. Let me know who you are, a little bit about your major, and what you plan to do after you're done with Mott. Bob, in your case, you tell us whatever you want to tell us about you.
Gotcha.
Okay, guys, my name is Alyshia. This is my second semester on SPAC. I have been going to Mott for about 2 years now. I am majoring in dental hygiene, and when I graduate Mott, I want to pursue my dental hygiene career and possibly get some dental offices and open some up.
All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie. It's my first semester in SPAC, and I'm also a dental hygiene major, but it is my final semester in the program, and I've been on campus for over 4 years, and I am excited to branch out and go into the career, especially with all the instructors here and their help. It's been a wonderful experience.
All right. Look at that. Health sciences.
Andy, first semester in SPAC, been here for 2 years pursuing a major in psychology, and then I plan to take over the world after this.
You take over the world. Well, that's a very large ambition, but good luck with that. Thank you, Andy.
My parents always told me to reach for the stars.
And that is definitely a star. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just keep me on your radar, though, if you ever accomplish that, okay? I would make sure that I'm on your good side, apparently. Mm-hmm. Well, welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming. And Bob, what about you?
I am Bob Campbell. I am the Marketing Communications Manager for the college. I've been here for 2 years, or a little more than 2 years. I am a Mott alum. Well, what more do you want to know? I don't want to take over the world.
I mean, everybody has ambitions, right? Big or small. Yeah.
But I do want to live in it.
There you go. Well, thanks, Bob, for joining us. We always like to host these podcast episodes with a little bit of perspective and different opinions from different groups, just because that helps to give us a little bit more insight into the ideas of multiple diverse groups and organizations at Mott. So thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. I just want to kind of jump in. As we mentioned, our subject today is campus changes and how student voices shape decisions. So I just want to get your opinion and a little bit of information from you on what you think that looks like. And how you can encourage other students on campus maybe, or in general, maybe in the community that might want to become a Mott Bear, a little bit about decision making and what you think would be the best route to take, and a couple of extra ideas in there. Maybe if you have something personal you'd like to share, it depends, or maybe a strategy that you've come up with since you've been a student here. So my first question to you is, why do you think student voices are important in shaping campus policies and initiatives?
Oh, for sure. I definitely feel that that voice matters on campus, because that's going to determine the outcome of what our campus is going to bring us as far as what they are doing to help us. What they know what to do to help us if they don't know. It starts with us. We have to get our voices heard. We have to speak to others and communicate and network with others on campus. You never know who you're going to run into and talk to. And that person can relay a message, and then that person can relay a message. And then you have groups like us, SPAC, who are on the inside really getting the outcomes of what students are feeling like. And we relay those messages to the president, and it gets done. Like, that's just really how it is. It matters. The voice matters for sure.
I definitely agree with you there. In my experience, I've been able to give a lot of feedback in my time here, and I think that has shaped some of the process and how it's affected students, especially how we have the foundation, which is a great place for students to get financial help, and it is now covering more than just tuition. It's covering books and instruments and bills if someone has a great need. So they're definitely thinking about the students and listening.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So my next question to you guys is slightly more along the lines of how effective communication can help the concerns and ideas, or how you can get those things to the administration. So for you guys, on the student perspective, what do you think, how can students effectively communicate their concerns or ideas to the administration? And then after that, I'm going to ask Bob a couple questions about his perspective on how that works. But what do you guys think? How can you communicate, being SPAC and being the group that is essentially constructed to be the gateway from the student experience to the president's office? What do you think would be the best course of action for a student themselves to be able to effectively communicate their concerns to administration?
I think when I came on campus, I was nervous about talking to administration. So I asked a lot of questions from the students, and I've taken a part of things after I spoken to students about it. I also did work study, but first I found out about work study from another student who was working. Mm-hmm. And that's how I went from there. And
so I got communication then, yeah?
Yeah. You definitely got to turn the introvertness, if that's even a word, off a little bit.
Maybe turn it down a little?
Yeah, down, not more so, yeah.
Or turn up the extrovert a lot, maybe.
Because you just don't know what you'll find out just by talking to your neighbor. I know Flint is small and we're not really big on that type of thing, but you never know by just talking to your neighbor. I promise you. Yeah. I done found out so much stuff by just talking to the person next to me, not even knowing their name, just starting a conversation like, hey, have you heard about this? And then that just opens the doors for other things.
So in that respect, I mean, there could be also physical resources, right? So if a student has a concern about what their schedule looks like, who do you think they should talk to?
Their advisor, or their career coach. I honestly talk to my career coach or success coach more than my advisor. I don't know. It's just advisors. I know that they have a lot of students to take care of, and it's always that good having a second backup person that you can talk to, and he can relay that message or she can relay that message to your advisor and get the ball going, much faster. Yeah.
Have you guys led any student initiatives? Or I know, Aaliyah, you've been in SPAC before, so you've done a few things. Is there anything that you helped to make changes on campus that you want to share?
I actually believe that, I don't want to say I had a part because it was a topic for some time, the workforce development, like what you were talking about, Valerie. For some time, a lot of students on campus were talking about the pay, how low it was. It was about $11 an hour. And literally... You
mean for student employment on campus?
Yeah, for student employment. And literally, I left my job, unfortunately, because I had to buckle down and study for finals. I didn't really have the time. And right when I quit, what happened? The pay increased.
Pay increased. That's right. It just happened, too.
It just happened.
So I think the student employees now went from $11 to $14 an hour?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's a big difference, especially for us. I mean, we're students here. College is not cheap, and that little bit of help helps. And you get $20 hours a week too.
Yeah, which is up from 19, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I'm like, come on, why did I have to leave?
Yeah, but the good part about that is there are plenty of jobs on campus, and like you said, if you communicate effectively and learn how to be a part of those decision-making things that happen.
I was definitely in those conversations. We need to root for it a little more.
Yeah, I know a lot of students were telling us about that and how we would have more people for a longer period of time if we could pay them slightly more money.
Yes.
So that was good, effective communication. That helped out a lot, actually.
That helped out a lot, yeah.
So, Bob, in your case, you are in marketing, so you're the communication center of campus. So how do you, for you specifically, what role does a student feedback play in like shaping market strategies and things like that for marketing?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think the student perspective is very important because you're on the front lines of the education that's being delivered to you, understanding the services that are available to you here on campus. And so we need to know what resonates with our student population. The messages that we pull together, are they working? Are they helping to drive enrollment? Are they helping students to get registered for the current term or the next term? Job availability. So the more feedback that we have from our constituent population, the students, the better we are at being able to shape the messages that we're putting together for the college. So to give you an example of this, one of the things that we're working on right now is looking at what kind of upgrades we need to make to our website. And so we've been doing research with student focus groups to get an understanding of how well our website works or doesn't work for the information that they're seeking on the site. So again, that's going directly to the customer,
right,
if you will. So and also too, in terms of storytelling is very important in the work that we do. And the stories that we seek to tell are the stories of our students because they're living the experience, day by day, each semester. And so those success stories that we're able to capture help to then help with our recruitment of other students or prospective students, or with the retention of students who are already here on campus. For example, the comment was made earlier about the availability of services. And so if we're able to highlight a student that has been able to take advantage of a program or service available through the Family Life Center, for example, that that kind of feedback, if you will, that kind of input, if you will, helps other students who may not be aware of those services get plugged in.
That's awesome. I definitely have seen some of the new strategies for the website and things like that. I definitely can see big changes coming for sure. And that's good to know that, you're doing the research on it and you're having the focus groups, because one thing I know, and I'm in student life, but I'm not that much older than a lot of these students, and I'm already very outdated.
Yeah.
So watching that become more and more of a necessity to upgrade and to update as much as possible, even just for aesthetic purposes sometimes, because, we live in a very, especially the newer generations, they live in a visual world. And
exactly.
If it's not appealing, then they're not going to look at it. And we don't want that to happen to our website, because we want to make sure that they know that we have very good, very valuable information. So that's good to know that you're moving in that direction.
Yeah, and I'm pretty far removed age-wise from your college your first-time freshman up through the early 20s. Maybe some of the more adult ed students we're close to age.
So, Bob, what role do students' feedback play in shaping marketing strategies? So,
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that we're doing, and this isn't just specific to our college, but it applies. So we're doing some message testing.
Oh, okay.
And the idea there is to put together a series of different types of messaging headlines, if you will, to see what resonates most with our intended audience. So that's one example. We also receive feedback, questions, either direct emails to someone in our office or information questions that will be posted on our social media pages, Facebook, for example. So then we take that information and make adjustments accordingly. A recent example of this is there was some news recently out of Washington regarding some federal funding and whether or not those dollars were going to be frozen and what the potential impact could be for students who rely on things like Pell Grants and so forth. So we know that, let me rephrase that. Our financial aid office and other parts of the college were receiving a number of questions from concerned students. As someone put it to me, our phones are ringing off the hook over here. And so as a result of that, we moved quickly to put together a statement from the college that spoke to the current situation and what the impact is currently as we know it at this time. And fortunately, the news that came out did not have any effect or does not have any effect on the current financial aid for our students. So, but again, that's an example of where we were being responsive to the feedback that we're receiving from the students.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually read that statement from our president. It's nice to hear that you guys, got our back in even difficult situations like that.
That's good to hear.
I can definitely tell it relieved some of my classmates. They were messaging and talking about it. And then I was like, read your email. There was something just about it.
That's great. And I definitely know when relevant things come up like that in a more national perspective, concern spikes really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's and I know Bob can attest to this, it's important to get the correct information out as fast as possible so that people don't draw their own conclusions
Absolutely.
and jump to anything that might be a little bit off from what is actually going on. And we definitely don't want that, that's for sure.
Right.
And I can give you another example real quick.
Sure.
So there was an incident here a couple of weeks ago, last week actually, that was an unfortunate incident that we wound up putting out an incident report on through a campus-wide email. So we began receiving some questions from various students about additional information related to that incident. And so then receiving that feedback, we're able to then forward that on to the appropriate authorities here at the college in order to provide the necessary follow-up information for their peace of mind and for the safety of the campus.
Thank gosh. From what I've heard, it was a really tough situation, and I'm glad you guys listened to the students and got to the bottom of it.
And that just goes back to our message that our voices are going to be heard and decisions are definitely going to be made.
Exactly.
So for you guys who are students, if a student feels like their concerns aren't being heard, or maybe like a collective of students, for example, maybe there's an organization or something like that has something that they really want to say, but they feel like they're not being heard, what do you have for advice to the administration on how those things can be heard? So for example, is there a particular type of social media, or is there a way for them to collect that information that is easier? They need the help. They need to know what is going to be the best vessel for the information to get from the student to the administrator. And I know a lot of administrators will take notes on this one because they want to hear what you have to say. And maybe this is something we can elaborate more on another podcast. But what do you guys think? If you were put into that position where you have something you want to say and you really feel like nobody's listening, what would you suggest the administration to do?
For me personally, I've had great luck calling the To Help desk or the calling the school for information.
What's To Help?
The To Help desk is sort of ticket system that the school has that the IT department and several people have access to.
Yeah.
That they'll reach out and answer your questions. And also we have the regular phone number for campus that you can call if you forgot your important information to log into your accounts, that are very quick on answering your questions, connecting you to the people that you need, as well as if you walk into student life and you can talk to the student employees here or Alyshia and she'll find you people.
Yeah.
And I've been able to personally, and I've seen people personally be helped by these sort of options that are available.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I know for me, like I said in the beginning, I'm always going to my success coach, Dan.
Yeah.
Me personally, I had an experience here on campus that involved a class that I took and an instructor. And he basically walked me through everything that I needed to know to solve this situation in the best professional, way possible. We spend time and money on these classes and our grades really matter. And when things don't go the way that we expect, it can get really hostile or you can really get very worrisome. But when you reach out to faculty or your success coach, they have the connections that you don't have.
Right.
So he just informed me like, hey, you have this option, you have this option, and you have this option. It's up to you to decide what option you would like to take, A, B, or C, and you move forward from it.
That's awesome.
But my voice was still heard, though.
Yeah.
My point was still made, and I was able to get into an honors class after that. And I wasn't even an honors student at that time.
Right.
And that was just my luck, be reaching out and talking and, just putting my voice out there.
Sure.
Really. That's really what it was.
So my next question for you guys would definitely be too, like, so far we've talked about what it would be like from a personal perspective, right? So we're talking about, we can't figure out our login information or we're having problems with the professor. So what if, those are all great things, obviously, but what if a student collective or maybe a student individual comes up with a problem that is more associated with higher administration? Which student group should they come to?
Definitely us.
And who are us?
SPAC, the Student Presidential Advisory Council. We're a small group, but this small group will definitely get the job done for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have direct access to the president. We work hand in hand with her. She listens to us. We listen to her. We relay information to the student body. We listen to the student body, and we relay that information back to her. So if you ever feel like that your voice is still not being heard, if you can find any one of us, I guarantee you by the end of our discussion, your voice will be heard.
That's right. That's awesome. And I know that with you guys, with your group, you're working on a peer-to-peer Zoom session potentially that might be coming up soon. And I think that has a lot to do with meeting like-minded students that can help you. Instead of talking to administrators, you can talk to somebody who's gone through that same experience as you. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that. What's peer-to-peer?
So peer-to-peer is where every person in SPAC is going to have a set time that they're able to meet people over Zoom and answer questions and go through the whole process with you. So if you needed to find something, as soon as we talk to you, we're not going to leave you until you feel that issue is resolved or
That's
question
awesome.
is resolved.
That's really cool. Yeah. And I know that this structure has been attempted in the past a couple of times, but we're hoping maybe that it'll get off the ground. But if anybody's interested in that, we just want to let you know that if you want to talk more to SPAC in the meantime, until that group gets up off the ground with peer-to-peer, you can visit the Office of Student Life and we can connect you with those individuals. But we definitely want you to know that your voices are being heard. And if you have an issue and you want to talk a little bit more about it, you come find SPAC, and especially if it's something that will deal more in a group setting or something to do with administration, because we want to cover all the bases, right? Like we talked about ITS, we talked about our success coaches, and we talked about SPAC. So there's plenty of different ways. And then if you guys are, curious and you just want to know general information, most of that comes from Bob. And so all that stuff's going to come out on campuses. And that's what we really want to do. So looking ahead for what we're trying to get to, and as far as making sure information is sent out accordingly and that everybody's getting everything that they need. You can also check out websites, things like that. But I have a question for you guys, another question, which is how can students get involved in shaping messages to better represent their voices? So, for example, if a student has a problem and they come to you and they say, well, I don't really know how to communicate this problem, what would you suggest? Maybe research, something like that.
Well, it's very important how you speak, first of all. If anything, that's most important. How you phrase things, the words you use. It's important, especially to keep most of the time a formal attitude, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
And that certainly is a way to make people, the administration, take you seriously. Therefore, listen to you.
Right. I think that's a good idea, actually. A good point, Andy, because you want to approach the subject appropriately.
That's what I was saying. In my situation, it could have got hostile, but I'm...
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. With problems with different professors and things, what you don't want to do is go in and be accusatory and be, loud and abrupt with a lot of information. You want to be professional and just say, hey, I'm really, struggling. I have this problem. I would like to see if anybody could help me find a solution to that problem. Like you said, your etiquette is important and the way that you carry yourself. So that's a great tip, first of all.
What I would say is, we want to hear from the students. We want to know what's working, what isn't working, where the gaps are, because that information informs us going forward. There are certain goals and objectives we're trying to reach. We want to make sure that we're delivering the best possible education, the best possible services to our students. And so the more information we have regarding how we're doing and what needs to what adjustments need to be made, etc., the better. So we welcome the feedback.
Right.
And I also know that our president has been doing a lot of coffee with the hour for a chance for you to ask any questions you want and meet her first thing.
I believe those are on Wednesdays. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
I believe so. Wednesdays.
At 10, I'm thinking, in the Bear Bistro. So if you're looking to, like you said, if you want to talk directly to the president, she has that hour for you to go and talk to her directly. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And for those that can't make it, she has a box right out her office, and you can write down any concerns you have or questions that you have directly for her, and she'll get back to you as soon as she can.
Yeah.
And suggestion box.
Yeah, suggestion box. And if you don't know where the president's office is and you need some help finding it, you're more than welcome to come by Student Life and we can walk you down there. We're just around the corner from her. So, and also from Bob, if in case anybody has any questions for Bob. But my last question to you guys is, what advice would you give to students who want to be more involved in shaping the messaging on campus? So from your perspectives, what do you think would be the best thing to encourage them?
I would say join as many clubs. Our clubs have a big impact on our student body, and each club is for specific things. And whatever your specific interest is, there's a spot for you. And the moment you get your foot in that door, you have a moment to speak for those who aren't there. That's my advice. I would say join any clubs. I joined SPAC specifically because I wanted our voices to be heard. Those who look like me, those who come from where I come from, and we're a pretty big, diverse, group. And it's nice to hear what others are going through and kind of, connect the dots and figure out a way for everybody on campus.
Right.
So everybody's voices will be heard.
That's right.
I also want to add on to that, and that was great. I agree with the club, but I also want to say don't give up when you reach a hurdle. There are people out there like us in the administration that would love to help make your story here on campus a success, like Bob has said, and we want to hear that feedback from you and walk you through to graduation if we can.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think overall perspectives from us are speak up, right? I mean, nothing's going to ever get changed if somebody doesn't ask for the change, right?
Exactly.
So we want to make sure that, even if you feel slightly intimidated, there's always someone for you to talk to, and you can always come and hang out in Student Life or some of the other different student hangouts on campus, and just let us know. What's your perspective? What ideas do you have? Even that, because at that point, like, I'm starting to run out of ideas. So I'm going to need some help with those too. But we're always looking for encouragement and trying to hear from the student perspective so that we're not outdated and we're not falling behind the curve when it comes to connecting to the next generation.
For sure.
So with that, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us today. I feel like you answered a lot of great questions about communication, and this is a great kickoff for us because I know that we're going to elaborate more on this in the future, but you did an excellent job. So thank you. And if you do come back to the Bear Blast podcast, we welcome you as a guest. And at this point, a veteran guest. So we're very happy to have you. But that is a wrap on the episode of Bear Blast. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of our conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on what's happening at MCC. Got an idea for a future topic or question you'd like us to cover? Reach out to Student Life at student.life@mcc.edu. We would love to hear you. Until next time, stay involved, stay connected, and keep making the most of your time at Mott. Go Bears.
Bears.
And that is it for this episode of Bear Blast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow us so you're always in the know about what's happening at Mott. And for even more Bear content, check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Just search for MCC Student Life. Until next time, go Bears!